Behind me on the wall here, I have a special part of my collection. It is the mandible from an unborn baby deer. This would have been full term, but it would have been unborn or newborn. It's really hard to tell when it's at this stage, but the bone is extremely rare. It's when you're going around the woods looking for bones and whatnot at the DNR body dump sites, it's hard to find anything from a fawn, especially anything that's under 3 or 4 months old, even about 2 months. You're not going to find anything any younger because their bones are just so small and so fragile. And this bone was a particularly rare find because of the decay on that bone. It had been there probably about 8 to 10 years at least, because it was very squishy, very full of dirt. It was there a very long time, so much that the bone is taking that transition into almost wood. It goes to a wood stage before it starts to fall apart. So this is a very, very old bone. It's a very rare find, and that's just one of the reasons it's in my personal collection. The other reason is a more sentimental reason. It reminds me of an incident that happened a long time ago. When I was 16, we had a double run on our bus. We went on 2 buses to get to school. The first bus would pick us up in the morning from our house and transport us to a specific site where our second bus would pick us up. Well, everything was going as usual. I got on my first bus, went on the drop-off site to the second bus, and everything was going along fine. I wasn't teased much that morning because I was one of those kids that had to sit at the front of the bus, not because I was disruptive or anything like that to the bus going to school, but because I was picked on a lot. It was relentless. So it was safest for me to sit at the front of the bus. So in sitting at the front of the bus, I got a front row show to what transpired that morning. It was March 18th, 2003. Everything was going along fine, and we were going down a little hill, and I could feel the bus driver slam on the brakes, and he said whoa or something like that, and then there was a very big thump. And then he started cursing, and he pulled over, and he had said that he had just hit a deer and he was going to go out and examine the damage. Well, anybody who knows me knows what an animal lover I am. I jumped out of my seat and I said, "We have to go look at the deer. Who is coming with me?" And everybody just stared at me like, what in the world is she doing? Why isn't she staying in her seat? But I was saying, we have to go look at that deer. And my sister, she said, "Oh, come!" So she runs off the bus ahead of me, and I'm telling her, "Don't run," because we have not seen that deer. We don't know what condition she's in. We don't know if she was outright killed, if she was injured and still mobile. We don't know what's going on at this point, so it's not really safe to just rush out. Anyway, I got off the bus, and when I came to the back of the bus, what I saw was my sister standing in the middle of the pavement, dead still, like that, and the deer was trying to get up. She was hit more towards the back of her body. It broke her back. Her back end was completely paralyzed, but she was trying to get up. She was very disoriented. She wasn't making any sound, but you could tell she was panicked. And I told my sister, "Go back and get the bus driver's knife." Because this guy, he always carried a hunting knife on his belt every day. He always had it. And I said, "Go get the knife and bring it to me." And she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Just get the knife." And she ran off. I put my hand up, and I told the deer in a very calm manner, "It's okay. Just lay down. We are going to help you. Just lay down." And as I put my hand down like this, the deer laid down on the pavement. and she started to calm. Now, by the time I got to her body, she had gone unconscious. I checked all of her pulse points. I checked the one in her neck. I checked the femoral artery in her thigh. And she still had a very strong heartbeat. But she was unconscious. When I checked in the femoral artery, I discovered that she was very heavily pregnant and she had gone into labor. This would have been why she was panicked jumping out of the ditch in front of my school bus and too slow to get out of the way. She was in labor. She was very confused and pain. It may have been her first. I don't know. Not being able to thoroughly examine the body afterwards. So I said, well, I have to get this fawn out because it was kicking wildly. The fawn was still alive inside of her. My sister came back from the bus. She said, he will not give me his knife. He's telling me to tell you to get back on the bus. And I said, well, go get the axe. Go get the axe. We have to do something here. And the kids in the back of the bus started yelling out their windows, she's dead, and get back on the bus, and cursing at me. But I kept saying, she's not dead. She's still alive. She had a very strong heartbeat. And my sister came back out and she was really upset, and she said, the bus driver will not give me the axe, he will not give me his knife, we have to get back on the bus. So reluctantly, I realized I had to get back on the bus. And I petted the deer, and although she was unconscious, I'm pretty sure she could hear me. I sent her a lot of very loving energy, and I said, everything will be okay, we will get help for you. Everything's going to be okay. Now, she was half on the road and half in somebody's driveway. So when I got back on the bus, I said to my bus driver, do you think that we should go to that house there and call DNR, call Lands and Forests? And he said, oh, I already radioed it in on my radio. He had CB in the bus. And I thought, oh, okay, and I just felt really bad that there was nothing else that I could do for this deer, because I had taken my hunter safety courses in my hunter training, and the number one thing that you do when there is a vehicle collision with wildlife is, if that animal is in a state that there is no veterinary treatment as either an option to their survival, that they are so mangled that they will not be able to be treated, or the animal is so far away from a treatment that they will die before you can get them there, the humane thing to do is to put that animal out of their pain and to euthanize them, whichever quick means that you can, which is why I wanted the knife. Even though, I mean, I love animals and I don't want to go out and kill them. If I had to like that, I would have. But anyway, the bus driver said that he had called everything in, that they were on their way. So I was quite upset, and when I got to school, I went to the principal's office and called my aunt and told her what had happened. That way, if later in the day anything happened and there was a phone call home, she would know why I was so upset or whatever. So I went about the day, and on the way home from school, there was no blood or anything on the road. The deer's body was gone. So I figured DNR came, picked up the deer, took her somewhere, disposed of her in whatever way that they do it. And then the next morning, I got on my first run bus, and I had a female driver for my first drive. And she was telling us, and she was very, very upset and mad about this. She was telling me and my sister about how on her way home from her run, she saw a deer in the middle of the pavement trying to pick herself up. She was paralyzed in the back end, trying to drag herself and get up. And I said, well, my bus hit that deer. And I said the bus driver's name. And was she ever mad? I said, he told us that he called it in. I got off the bus and I examined her. And I wanted the knife to put her out of misery, and he would not give me the knife. And she called him a few choice words. And apparently this had... My first run bus driver, who was going home, was the one who made the first call to DNR. And took care of the situation, because she said, you do not leave an animal in that state. Which you don't. You don't leave a deer like that. But anyway, eventually my first bus driver, Linda, got this deer the help that she needed. She was euthanized. Apparently they had to kill her right on the spot, because she was panicked, she was in a lot of pain, she was in labor. I mean, by that point, the fawn may have died inside of her. It was just a mess. But years later, like almost 10 years later, going back to the DNR body dump site where this deer would have been taken, and finding this mandible, which, I mean, odds are it's not that deer's fawn. The odds are astronomical at that. But just to find something that would have been that fawn's age, it's really special to me. So this is going to be part of my special collection. And another thing is, about a month later, is in April. I mean, it really bothered me that I was not able to do more for that deer. And a month after the incident, I had a dream where I saw her and her fawn in a field, and it was sunrise. It was a very, very nice dream. And she was talking to me, and she said, don't feel bad about not being able to do more. You did what you could for me, and that was enough. Which, it was a very, very vivid dream. And I like dreams like that. I know it's probably just my mind concocting things to make me feel better, but all the other psychic events in my life that I've experienced, I know that although that could be just my mind, it could also be that it wasn't. It could have been a message from her herself. And I take little things like that, and it just helps me continue on in doing the work that I do. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed my story and a little bit of history into who and what I am, because it's events like that that shape a person. And that's another one of the reasons that I do the work that I do.